It's possible for Laudna to come back, but is it a good idea?
This is a toughie.
Before we dive into another burning Critical Role debate, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons so you never miss a tabletop and fantasy update. Last week, Bell's Hells started the process of resurrecting Laudna, their now twice dead sorcerer friend, with the help of several members of Vox Machina, who are now venerable heroes, who you may remember from Critical Role's first campaign. However, not every member of Vox Machina seemed enthusiastic about the possibility that Laudna could come back. Percy was, at least initially, very resolute that Laudna not be resurrected due to her ties with Delilah Briarwood.
Wow. Enjoy hell, swamp mouth.
From a table perspective, the question of Laudna's resurrection is an easy one. Marisha wants to bring Laudna back, and the rest of the table seems committed to bringing Laudna back. So from a campaign perspective, there's no reason not to bring Laudna back, or at least try to bring her back, since resurrection in a Critical Role campaign ultimately comes down to the roll of a dice. So for this week's Critical Role debate, and frankly we should probably come up with a better name for this feature, we're going to talk not about if Laudna can be resurrected, but should she be resurrected?
The answer is not so simple.
So the major issue here is if Laudna's resurrection would somehow bring back Delilah Briarwood, who was one of the principal villains of the Vox Machina campaign, and the person responsible for allowing Vecna entry to the mortal plane. Delilah might be the most pervasive and low-key terrifying villain who has appeared in a Critical Role campaign. She's a skilled necromancer, she's incredibly smart, and she has a very nasty tendency to defy death. Repeatedly. In fact, Laudna was nothing more than a contingency plan to help Delilah return back to life for a, third time? Messing with Delilah Briarwood is objectively a terrible idea. She's one of the few Critical Role villains who actually succeeded in her goals. That is, completing the ritual to bring Vecna back to Exandria. She's incredibly dangerous, and she just always has contingencies after contingency after contingencies. The really terrifying thing about Delilah's involvement in Campaign 3 is that she seems awfully interested in this whole Ruidus business that Bell's Hells have been sniffing around. Delilah noted that the upcoming solstice would have profound magical effects, and she even encouraged Laudna to get involved with the whole Ruidus investigation or what have you. So yeah, let's open the door just a teensy bit for this crazed and brilliant Vecna cultist to come back to life. Let's see what happens. What's the worst that could happen there?
It's a living nightmare! How could you be so irresponsible?
To the credit of Bell's Hells, they're attempting to unravel Delilah's soul from Laudna while it's in a weakened state. But even if they succeed, can they be so sure that Delilah won't still be lingering, with Laudna somehow acting as a conduit? Do we really think that we're going to have 2 consecutive campaigns where a warlock can break their pact with a patron? While Percy was a curmudgeon in the latest episode, he probably has a point. Bell's Hells probably do not realize just how dangerous Delilah can be, nor are they prepared for what she's capable of. In fact, given how involved the party seems to be in this whole Ruidus business, it's probably a bad idea for Delilah to have any connection to the material plane. Sorry, Laudna, but your existence is going to be, bad for the rest of the world.
And now for something completely different.
So Christian has outlined why bringing back Laudna isn't worth the risk, but I'm back on Team Correct to tell you that it is worth the risk, and they should definitely do it. First off, if they bring her back while separating or at least blocking off her ties to Delilah like they're trying to, Laudna would be no more of a danger than she was before she died. Sure, Delilah might find her way back later on, but that was already happening to Laudna anyway, so it would be no worse than before she died. And as for all the fears that Delilah could come back and take over Laudna, possibly becoming the season's big bad in the process, That seems unlikely, since a dead player character coming back to life as the main villain was literally what they just got done doing in Campaign 2 with Mollymock and Lucian. I doubt that Matt is gearing up for a repeat performance of kill the fan favorite then bring them back evil just a few months later.
That's just lazy writing.
Also, the threat of Delilah may be a little overhyped. Delilah has not only been defeated by Vox Machina multiple times before, but even the god she summoned into the world got murked by the cast so hard that the guy from Magic Mike took his hand as a souvenir.
I'm sorry, it was just business.
They basically beat up the school bully, then went all true detective on his dad as well. So she's probably not quite as dangerous as she's being made out to be. On the other hand, a resurrected Laudna who's constantly struggling to keep a now weakened Delilah from taking control of her, while looking for a way to permanently free herself, seems like a fantastic angle to explore in the campaign. And it gives room for growth for a character that's had to reveal a lot of their backstory and secrets early on in the season. Clearly, Marisha wants to explore the ties between Delilah and Laudna ever since she decided to take her off the Sun Tree and drop her into Campaign 3. And while I'm still not the biggest fan of Vox Machina just showing up with a get-out-of-jail-free card that also happens to run a bakery, now that they've started the ritual, and given that this was something that Marisha must have been planning on happening at some point, it seems crazy to just give up now, both from the point of view of the fans, who clearly love Laudna, and from a narrative perspective, given how much the lingering threat of Delilah adds to the tension and the stakes of the campaign. So what do you think? Should Laudna stay dead to keep the threat of Delilah sealed away forever? Or is Laudna and her story worth the risk of resurrection? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to toss us a like and subscribe on your way out.